Good Thursday morning to you. I've been thinking a lot about how we are at a year since COVID entered our world. I mean, in an official capacity. A year since we shut down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And I know that there's a lot of joking around about that, a lot of sarcasm. But the reality is that we are a year since our life has changed as we knew it. And I wonder sometimes if we have learned anything in this last year. I wonder if anything seems more clear this last year than it did a year ago. This morning, I turned to Matthew 16, and today and tomorrow I want to talk a little bit about how the Bible opens up our minds to how God is at work, sometimes and often in the midst of things we cannot understand. Matthew 16, the first three verses is what I'd like to read. It says, "The Pharisees and Sadducees came to Jesus and tested him by asking him to show them a sign from heaven. He replied, 'When evening comes, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, today, it'll be stormy, for the sky is red and overcast. You know how to interpret the appearance of the skies, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times.'" Jesus is challenging these leaders that they've figured out a way to interpret the things that are right before them, but they haven't figured out a way to listen to God in a way that God reveals himself. It's kind of a blatant criticism of their leadership, especially leaders of the temple. And so I wonder for us, I get up in the morning, and when it's a really heavy fog, I take a deep breath and I can smell spring in the air. I can smell that the seasons are changing. But I have to admit that sometime in my own personal devotional life, in my spiritual life, I can't tell that God is changing the season until I'm halfway through that change or even in the midst of that change. Sometimes I'm better at understanding what's happening environmentally than I am what's happening even within my own soul. This has caused me to pause and to think more thoroughly, to give a more deeper pause, to ask, what has God been doing? What has God revealed to me in this last year? What has God taught me? Yesterday I was in a meeting where the question posed to the group of people was, what have you learned about yourself in COVID in this last year? And immediately I thought about how much I yearn for community. I so badly want our community to be connected together at church. I so much love that each day at 11:30, my kids fill the kitchen, and if I'm home, I get to share a moment that I otherwise wouldn't have with them. My response was immediate because my joy is grounded in gathering and being connected to one another. So if you're thinking about how God's at work, and if you're reading the signs, if you're getting excited like I am for spring that is just right on the verge of breaking forth, I might also ask you, what has God taught you in this last year? What have you learned? How have you grown? What wisdom have you gained? It's got to be something, because if you pause right now and you think nothing, then I don't think you've been listening to God enough. I would wonder how deeply you're connecting with God. There's got to be something. God is always moving us forward and always revealing to us an opportunity to learn and grow. So take a deep breath. And one more time. What has God revealed to you about yourself in this last year? What has God shown you that is so important for you? For your faith life? What has given you life and breath in this last year? The human instinct is to talk about what we've all lost. The human response is always to talk about what isn't the way we want. But the faith response is to look and see the opportunities God has given us. That's what Jesus is challenging the Pharisees and the Sadducees with in this gospel text. And I think God is doing that with each of us in our lives as well. As we come to a year, what has God done for you? How has God been at work? And when you name it, claim it as a gift. Claim it as an opportunity. Claim it as a way God has shown you love. Because that, at the heart of it, is all what faith is about. I hope you have a great Thursday.